We talked about Glassman last week, but I also put in the clip of Glassman talking about Brexit sovereignty and democracy in the UK means having the king as the sovereign leader of the UK parliamentary system.
Oh,
and then he said, I know how people would find this contradictory, but it's true. And it's like, yes, it is true that it's contradictory. It makes no sense what you've just said. The king is not part of our democracy. He should be nowhere near it. And yet, that's what he was saying. And then Farage was going, yeah, that's why I voted Brexit. I wanted our sovereignty back. Go on, Marina. I can tell.
I just don't know. Do you know what? Did you say that to trigger me?
We wouldn't be trying to do.
People, why are they even? They shouldn't have a platform, let alone power. They've just got these base, like deluded, rooted in like inequality and basically feudalism. Like it's just like it's what is this in this day and age?
It's wild, isn't it? And they're sat there on TV bragging.
Kings, in terms of kings called Charles, have never been good for the British people.
This Parliament is, by my authority, terminated, dissolved.
History will tell us that.
I put that clip out separately on my own personal channel, and I had people writing in being like, let's have the revolution again. Let's go back Charles first and lop off their heads. I'm sick of this.
That's the thing about the French. That's what I like about the French.
But Marina, Glassman believes that the French Revolution and the Russian Revolution were a mistake.
Does it? Well, of course he does.
Yeah, because he believes in sovereign. He wants King Trump as well as King Charles.
Gross. But that is, if you look at, that's the thing over in France. It's like, here they raise our pension age. No one bats a bloody eyelid. There they talk about it like they maybe just propose the idea, and people set shit on fire. And it's like there is an understanding of power of the people of France, and it's because it's like not that many years ago we showed you,
and that's democracy.
Stay in line. Yeah, exactly. People power.
And that's the beauty of what you see happening in France. Do you ever see what they did with the speed cameras when they started going up in France? No. They just blocked the motorways and yanked them all down.
Yeah, they put tires around some of them and set them on fire. Imagine doing that here.
We're so subservient here, aren't we? But again, there's other places as well where they're just like, nah, like Italy. Nah, yes. Don't fancy it. We're going to take all of August off. Nah.
Do you I mean, from your experience of being in Italy and Italian parents, would you think that they would rebel like that? Because I'm aware of the French, but I don't know about the Italians. I'm curious. They would get that angry, or would they just go, nah, I'm off, leave you to it?
Going to eat my lunch and have 5 hours.
Well, there is that. You do not interrupt the lunch. The lunch it's like sacred. Like you would not catch Italians, in my experience, over their desks like we do, eating their sandwiches, crumbs going into their keyboard. No. Some Italians still in my family in southern Italy, they will go home from work to their wife who has made them a plate of lovely warm pasta and then go back to work.
Wow. Okay, that's very cool. Do you know that it's illegal to do what we do in Britain and France with food? You can't eat at your desk. It's actually written into law.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. And
I love shoveling a panino into my mouth while I'm looking at a spreadsheet, Alice. Why would you take that away from me?
Oh, you take me back now. When I used to work at Saatchi's, and one of the secretaries was behind me, and she always used to eat pot noodle at lunchtime, and I had to go out because I absolutely hate pot noodle. The smell of it. Oh my God! But in fairness, I did get my own back on it because in those days I used to smoke. So I can't believe that I used to smoke at my desk.
God!
Did you? Yeah. Wow. Okay. I remember smoking in the pubs, which is obviously now such a foreign concept. It's funny because
I gave up when I was 27. I'm glad. It was the best thing I ever did.
Very good.
I do remember that Red Dwarf scene where he's stuck on an ice planet. There's the only 2 things he has left to eat: either pot noodle or dog food.
Did he choose the dog food?
No sponsorship on this channel from pot noodle anytime soon.
I can live with that. Talking about monarchy and our disdain for it, did anyone get wind of what took place with Prince Andrew's aide, John Bryan. Happened about 2 weeks ago. He got into a sting operation, a honey trap. In fact, it was real classic, basic stuff.
Yes, and this is where sometimes Piers Morgan is a very interesting one, because I think he's a twat most of the time, but every now and then he does some good work. And what he did with this guy, where he basically grilled him on this honey trap, and what he said during it was a great bit of journalism, I thought.
The thing that blew my mind, that should be a bigger story.
Of course it should.
And it's not being reported.
This is why we do not have the free press that we are led to believe that we have. That is the firm kicking into action and making sure that certain stories don't reach the top of the pile.
Yeah,
I don't know anyone. Yeah. I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone around me, like friends, who've heard the story. Yeah. It's only when you're in the political social media framework that you start, and because of what you said, Piers Morgan, and you're almost like, how did Piers Morgan get a hold of this?
Yeah, how did he get away with talking about it?
Well, he spends more time in the States these days. Maybe it's that. I mean, if you want to get the real news about Britain, you need to go and look at news in another country.
That's terrible, isn't it? But then, if he's able to talk about it on Talk TV, why then are other press titles not going, this is a bit juicy?
They make money. They're a capitalist system that would sell front page. That would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah,
like no doubt about it. So that's why I'm confused about it, because I'm also going, they did all the Epstein stuff. They had no problem talking about that whatsoever and railing against Andrew. But then I'm also going, I couldn't quite remember. Were they sort of talking about it a bit, and then Andrew did the BBC interview, and it was such a car crash, it just forced it into the headlines where it was like, well, there's no point hiding this because everyone's seen the interview and he's clearly guilty. Or is it just a case of, I can't remember the timeline. Does anyone remember?
I don't remember. All I know is that, they want to talk about Asian grooming gangs, but they don't want to talk about the royal ones.
Yeah, or indeed the multi-millionaire and billionaire grooming gangs as well. Those ones, fine, all good.
Or the church.
Farage doesn't seem to mind those.
It's constant baiting and distraction, isn't it? Yeah. And I guess for the press here, they don't want to upset the firm, and that's what it is. And that's because if the public really did know what was going on, we would have a revolution.
I thought Piers Morgan wanted to get a knighthood. That's why the rumor was that he wanted a knighthood. It's the allegation. The allegation is that he wanted a knighthood, which is why he flipped on Meghan so hard. Because there's a clip of him saying Meghan's going to have a tough time of it because the royal family are renowned for being a bit racist. And she's going to be the first black lady to have married into the royal family. And then he flipped and just started banging on about how awful she was.
I think the flipping was driven by her deciding not to be chums with him. That's what I think it was based on. I think he's got such a huge ego because obviously he spoke about the meeting, right? They had I think they met in a pub or something like that, and they got on really well. And then by all accounts, she ghosted the shit out of him, which you're allowed to do as a man or a woman. No, it's not very courteous, let's be honest, but you are well within your rights. If you decide I don't want to continue this relationship, friendship, whatever, you're allowed to do that. That does not warrant then someone to hound you, especially publicly on their morning TV platform, completely unjust. I think that was what did it, because he's got such a fragile ego. That would have hurt.
So you don't think he wants a knighthood at any point, or do you think he's
he probably does as well.
So just to give context to what John Bryan actually said, he was caught in a honey trap talking to a lady. You don't know anything else about her. And she and him were in some bar or club, and they were talking about Epstein. And he just openly said that not only had Andrew had sex with Virginia Giuffre, he insinuated there was more than one.
Of course there would be more than one.
Of course, but we've never heard that sort of advocated in public. It's always been he went to Epstein Island and it was just with Virginia Giuffre and she made the claim it was 3 times and everything else. But this is an act. Do you know how he's connected to the royal family, this John Bryan, as well? It's not like some random guy.
But he sucked their toes.
Oh yes. Whose toes was he sucking?
Prince Andrew's wife.
When they were married.
When they, according to him, they were separated, right?
Fergie.
at the time, but they
Fergie's
weren't divorced.
toast.
Yeah, Fergie's
You
toast.
guys are younger than me. I remember all of this so well. Oh my God.
I remember it. It was
can
I mean,
still see that-
I'm younger,
those
but that
pictures.
photograph is etched into my brain. Gross.
It's just terrible.
So he also claimed in this video, just to add to the absolute bizarreness, so he has an affair with Andrew's wife, and then he claimed in this video in the Honey Trap that Andrew was away for about 255 days a year with the Navy. So John Bryan claimed in this video that he brought up Princess Eugene and Beatrice,
Yes.
and that he was their dad. What? And that they're best mates. I'm just like, and he's had an affair. Like, what is going on in that family? It's so twisted.
They're all absolute like wrong-uns. They're just wrong-uns with money and titles. That's all.
And protection.
Yes, that we fund.
I think that's the thing that gets me. When you hear Nigel Farage then going and saying, this is what we voted Brexit for.
The king.
The king. And to me, as a Brexiteer, that's sovereignty.